Hello YouTubers, thank you for watching yet another video. First off, I'd like to kind of apologize for me not making a video in the last, I don't know how long it's been. I think the last video I made was Unbroken review, so it's been a while. I've been kind of busy with people. There's a person I'm spending a lot of time with, so that's not conducive to my loner nerd do reviews whenever I want just to take up time. So there's that, which is a good thing for me, and bad thing for the 4 people who want to see any of my reviews. And really, there's not been anything worth reviewing. I saw American Sniper, and I wanted to review it, but it ultimately ended up being more of a boring episode than what I usually do. It was just, the only thing I could say about it was just little stuff. I mean, it was an okay movie. It just, unless I feigned some sort of fake hatred towards the game or whatever it was, I just felt that there was nothing interesting I could say. I wanted to see Jupiter Ascending, but again, it's probably going to be one of those movies where it's like, I think it's okay, and I don't really have much to say about it. So, I watched a movie, and this is not in theaters, and it's not on Prime, and it's not on any of the normal things that I do reviews on, but it is a review of a movie that I just happened to pick up because I read the back of it and I was sort of interested in it, and then I watched it and I didn't think I was going to do a review on it, but it got me thinking, like, what about movies, and especially documentaries, what makes them good? Like, a lot of people know what makes a general movie good, or at least they can sort of talk about it and sort of say, yeah, the acting was good or whatever it is, but documentaries are sort of this weird kind of subgenre of stuff, and what makes one good and what makes one not good. So I kind of got to thinking about that, so maybe I could shine some light on that. But the documentary movie that I saw was I think it's The Internet's Own Boy. And what it is a documentary kind of chronicling the life of Aaron Swartz, who was a kind of a young kind of tech prodigy, very young. He was coding and doing all kinds of kind of higher level, upper level programming stuff from a very, very young age. And not only that, but he had very progressive ideas for what a business should be and how to grow something. So he was really good at taking an idea and adding all kinds of stuff into it and then making that into something cohesive and something that's going to work and things of that nature. So very brilliant. He was the man that kind of co-founded Reddit, and he did a bunch of other things. And one of the highlights of the documentary was him doing a presentation, a business style, kind of boring, kind of, informational presentation to a bunch of people in suits and stuff like that about Creative Commons copyrights, and he's just up there, the screen is blocking his face because he's so short, and he's just doing his thing. And it's touching to see that nobody cared how old he was. They just wanted to get this information, and he was giving it to them because he was the one who did it. So it was nice to see that. It wasn't all about, oh, he's just a young kid and what is he going to do? And it wasn't about that at all. It was mostly about trying to paint this person as a human. And about halfway through the documentary, it goes into what his crime. So he got caught up in a little bit, no, actually a lot of bit of trouble. And what he did was kind of known. It's not anything secretive. It's not going to ruin the documentary, but he basically was, anybody on MIT could go in and download something off of JSTOR, which is a storage place of online journals for scientists. So they write the journals and they publish it, and this publisher holds it and says, hey, if you want access to this journal, you got to pay money. So he got on that network that he had access to it. He registered a laptop. He did everything right. And he made a script, or a Python script, or a command, or whatever it was, that just downloaded a bunch of it at one time. So he got into the argument of, the way that I thought he was thinking was, let's say you have two people. One person is downloading, one person's really bad with computers and can only download at maybe 1 page a minute. That's what they're doing because they're bad at computers or whatever. Another guy's really good with computers. He knows exactly what to do. Maybe he can download 100 pages a minute. Well, this program happens to be extremely good at doing what it's doing, so it can download millions a minute. So if the person who is better with computers can download 100 a minute, and that's not illegal, what's to say that this program isn't illegal? So he got into trouble with the FBI because of that, and another way of downloading legal documents. I guess you have to pay like 10 cents, some archaic 10 cents a page or something for legal documents, and he kind of helped fund this thing to where people would go in and upload their own legal documents that they paid for and kind of create this online database. So it was kind of scamming the government, so the government got involved. Anyway, he gets in trouble. So along the way, he does a lot of positive things. He helps, stop SOPA and PIPA, those awful bills that were trying to be introduced, and it showed a very touching kind of a triumph story with that, because obviously this kid's a prodigy and he's doing everything awesome. It's kind of hard to, he's always triumphant, he's always doing, this guy was a millionaire by the time he was like 19 or something like that. So but it really showed this heartfelt kind of underdog, we're gonna lose, but it's worth trying kind of a thing. So and then whenever they overturn PIPA and they stop SOPA completely, it was a smile moment, because I was a part of that, and that was whenever I was first starting to get into YouTube and watching and subscribing, and I signed the petition and I called my local representative, and I sort of felt like I was a part of that. So it made me smile, because that's the internet, and that's us fighting for something that we believe in, and we accomplished it together. And yeah, I wasn't like on a forefront or anything like that, but I pitched in, and I knew a bunch of people that did. I posted it on my Facebook page, and it was just sort of this thing that we did. And I didn't know this, but Aaron was basically behind the entire thing, orchestrating most of all the code behind all the websites to where you could go and Skype your local representative and all that, and made it streamlined and easy for us to do what we did. He was behind it, and it was just kind of one of those smile moments that very rarely you get as being an internet person, because everything is so controversy laden, so all that. It's just nice that we all got together and we accomplished something that nobody thought was possible. And it was nice to see that Aaron was behind that. And then it kind of chronicles the end phases of his court case, and it ultimately it led to him taking his life. Or if you do a Google search page, maybe the government doing it for him. Who knows? It's rule of suicide, so that's what we're going with. And there's really no reason for the government to kill him. He was, probably going to lose the case anyway. So, I don't know. Anyway, so, but that got me thinking, like at the end of the documentary, I felt really, really good about it, and I felt very strongly. And taking out objective things like the cinematography, whether or not the sound was good, whether or not things were in focus, taking out that, what makes a documentary become so popular as something like Blackfish or Super Size Me or anything like that, and what makes little known documentaries so little known, other than the fact that maybe they weren't released in theaters? Well, it's kind of a little different than regular movies, documentaries are, because documentaries are usually lower budget, and they're usually taken from people who you probably haven't heard of, and that's generally in documentary films, the directors, that's generally all they do is documentaries. You don't see a whole lot of Spielbergs going into documentaries and they tend to do just documentaries. So you have this subgenre of people who just do this stuff. And really, I don't think that's one where movies and documentaries differ, but I think where they come together and they occupy the same space is documentaries and movies come to you. The main purpose for them is to tell a story. And yeah, it could be argued that some art house films are not telling a story. They're more for the serving themselves. And I'm talking mainstream kind of movies. They're all here to tell a story. And documentaries are just here to tell the story of usually something a little bit more narrowed, a little bit more honed and focused in. And they're here to present you with something that the director thought was important and they want you to know about. So some documentaries like Super Size Me just say, hey, this stuff probably isn't healthy. Let's see what happens if it's kind of like a stunt. Let's see what happens. They document that. And then other documentaries like the one I just watched document and kind of, they're almost like biographies or autobiographies where they tell the story of a person. And they document kind of what happened to this person, just, I think, mainly to tell the story and for there to be no kind of question what happened to this person. So there can be a kind of a common ground on what happened throughout this person's life, and to kind of bring to the forefront somebody or something or an event or something like that happened that people need to know about. An important person that, it's one of those things where like the director and the team behind it wants this story to be told. So you get a lot of these passion projects, and I think that's where sometimes some documentaries fail, is that they present things from an extremely biased view. And when I watched Blackfish, I got that. I got an extremely biased, honed in, kind of one-sided view. And yeah, I'm not saying SeaWorld is completely innocent. That's not what I'm saying, but the people behind Blackfish knew what they wanted to convey. And through the magic of television and movies and editing and everything with that, you can make anybody look like an awful person. And you can make anything look ridiculously bad just on how you edit it. This is what we see in television, mainly in like news stories and things like that, is that you can cut anything up and make this person, and I'm not talking about deceptively, like cutting out stuff and adding stuff to make someone say this person sucks or whatever it is. I'm not saying that, but just in the way that you present things, you can make someone instantly start thinking on the side of the documentary filmmaker or whatever it may be. That's why I didn't really like Blackfish, is because I got that really, really kind of biased, deep, honed-in view, and it almost made me feel like an asshole for not agreeing with it. And I don't like that. It's a dirty tactic. It's like killing a dog, the family dog in a movie. It's just cheap. And it doesn't pay service to the actual problem. And in this documentary that I watched about the internet's own boy, it didn't try to use his death as a tactic to try to make you feel sympathy. You did feel sympathetic towards this person, but it didn't use cheap shots. It didn't use low blows to try to get you to feel a certain way and try to say, screw the government and all that. It didn't do that. In fact, it didn't present the government as bad at all. It just told the facts of the case. And because the case is so extraordinary and this person is so extraordinary, you create your own view of what this person is. So that's why I think this documentary, in my mind, stands out more. And I think really, it should be watched. And this is our people. Everyone that makes a video on YouTube, everyone that goes on Google and searches, everyone that has this internet culture in life, this is one of us. This is one of ours that took his own life because he didn't want to face a world where he was stripped of what he felt his common rights were. And he didn't want to live in a world where it was that unjust. And I'm speculating here. I don't know the person, but the documentary kind of led on that, that was probably one of the main causes for him doing what he did. And really, I mean, it's one of our people, and it's a person who stood up and who could have sold everything that he did for probably hundreds of millions of dollars, and instead he tried to give things away for free and try to help people and try to do things right. And there's a nice kind of they try to paint a correlation between him and Tim Berners-Lee, who I think is Berners, whatever, Tim, whatever his name is, Tim Berners-Lee, who kind of made the internet, and he had a chance to patent it and copyright and do all these things and make it little internets and try to split it up and sell it and get rich off of it. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. It doesn't work that way. It works by making it free and making it accessible and getting more people on board. And I think that's a philosophy that we can take into account, and that this documentary does a very good job at kind of laying that out and letting you decide what to do with it. And I think ultimately that's what a documentary should be doing. It should be telling a story, and if you don't agree with it and if you don't like it, fine. Then that's when the cinematography and the sound design and everything like that should come into effect, and that's where you should be appreciating it. If you don't agree with the documentary, I didn't agree with Blackfish, but I thought it was a good documentary just based on the fact that it was extremely well done. It was extremely well filmed. Everything was lensed properly. People were mic'd properly. It sounded good. So therefore, I enjoyed watching this documentary. But whenever I feel cheated, whenever I feel like I'm being manipulated is a good word, I tend not to like it. That's why I like this documentary more. And that's kind of what resonates with me, what makes a good documentary. So hopefully this video kind of showed you different reasons and different things to get behind documentaries. Go watch. I've been watching a bunch of documentaries lately. I really, really enjoy them. I think they should be in main theaters more. I don't know why they're not, but maybe in the future that will be a thing, I hope. But really, there's nothing out I'm seeing in the near future. I mean, what am I going to see? 50 Shades of Grey? What a hit! I have no interest in seeing that whatsoever. I have no interest in seeing this parkour, Kingsman, whatever, gimmicky movie. I have no interest in seeing that. Yeah, I might go see the SpongeBob movie. It looks interesting. However, the 3D model characters look a little weird, but I'm thinking that might play into account of what'll make it good. But, I mean, there's nothing. One of my favorite people online on YouTube, Red Letter Media, have a fuck you, it's January, which that's when Hollywood takes out its trash. Well, I think we should extend that to fuck you February, because this has just been an awful month for movies. Nothing has come out. Nothing is interesting. There's no good movies out right now. So as soon as a good movie comes along, I'm going to see it. I'll review it. I'll keep doing this thing and trying to grow this channel. But for now, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can see a bad movie and riff on it, but I hate doing that. I'm not one of those people. But maybe I'll try it and I'll get super famous on YouTube like everyone else does for feigning anger. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And see you next time, hopefully sooner. Bye-bye. So I'm just part of my ignorance for not knowing who these actors are, but a code for a while, wonderful job. I know a little bit about it. What it was a way who portrayed Luke could transmit messages again out in the open wherever I want.